Sheety. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman with Nermeen Sheikh. Our guests for the rest of the hour are Jack Murphy and Brandon Webb. They're editors of SOFREP, Special Operations Forces Situation Report is what SOFREP stands for, sofrep.com. And they wrote the ebook Benghazi, the definitive report. These are people in the know. Jack Murphy is an Army Special Operations veteran. Brandon Webb is a U.S. Navy SEAL veteran and trains other Navy SEALs and was the best friend of Glenn Doherty, who was one of the 4 people, along with Christopher Stevens, the ambassador of Libya, who was killed on September 11th, 2011. Tell us a little about Glenn and what he was doing there.
Well, you know, Glenn, I've run into a lot of people in the special operations community, and Glenn was just a special guy that stood out, and we developed a close friendship since we were first introduced to each other at SEAL Team 3 as new guys, and ended up going through the sniper program together as a sniper pair. So we spent a lot of time together under immense periods of stress going through that training, and just developed a close friendship. We had very similar interests outside of the military. We were both active outdoors with sailing, surfing, and skiing. So Glenn and I had stayed in touch after he got out of the service, I believe in 2004, a few years before I separated in 2006. So we stayed in touch for quite some time, and I was aware of what he was doing, but not particularly. You know, he would tell me he would go to Mexico or Israel or elsewhere, but you know, really kept to himself what was happening on those deployments. But it just, you know, hit me hard personally, and to know that my best friend was involved in this situation, and that this is the type of story that we cover on SOFREP. And so it was a little bit more meaningful to me to really get to the bottom of this and try and explain to people. I mean, Jack and I both sat there and watched the political spin happen during the presidential elections, and nobody was really getting the straight truth. And we had a lot of people in our network and the CIA and the State Department come forward and say, look, guys, people need to understand what's happening, and change has to happen, and we hopefully told that story.
Just a quick correction. I said September 11th. 2012 was actually the attack, the date of the attack.
Can you also explain a little bit more how it is that you did the research and who you spoke to? In addition, you've just said some people from the CIA and from the State Department and from JSOC as well, to get some of the information you did for the book?
My sources, and I'll let Jack answer for himself, but my sources were primarily CIA and State Department. And the thing that makes us a little bit different at the work that we do at SOFREP is we come from the community, we have established relationships, people trust us enough to come, and we have cultural understanding and background to kind of translate that to the rest of the world. And so these are people that trust us. We're normally, you know, journalists will spend years to maybe get one source at JSOC or the agency where we can pick up the phone and call, you know, half a dozen people at either place and say, look, what's going on over there? In this case, people were reaching out to us.
Jack Murphy, President Obama's finishing his 3 African country tour right now in Tanzania. We're not hearing about military operations, though, of course. And you know a great deal about JSOC and special forces in places like Nigeria and Mali and Algeria. Can you talk about these places?
Well, the infrastructure for counterterrorism operations has been built up in North Africa for a long time now. And you know, yes, we're seeing operations across the span of North Africa. They've been happening for over 5 years now. Some of these operations happen under the auspices of other countries, like France, other allies of ours. But they've been going on for a long time, and they're going to continue into the foreseeable future.
Well, what do you hope that the U.S. intelligence and military communities will learn from some of the revelations in your book?
I hope that they learn that it's more important to start deconflicting operations, that you have these bureaucracies where people are carving out their bureaucratic fiefdoms and they start stepping on each other. And the result is that it ends up getting our own people killed, where the actions of some operators over here get the operators over on the other end killed. And that's something that needs to be corrected.
And what about the role of private security contractors who are hired by the CIA?
It's not going away. And they're going to be around for a long time. I think the CIA is going to continue to utilize security contractors anywhere.
In your view, what's been the effect of that? The hiring of an increasing number of private military contractors by the CIA and other military.
Well, it has the effect of outsourcing operations and outsourcing certain mechanisms that the CIA would have done itself. In the past, the case officer would have gone into some very dangerous areas on his own, but today they seem to require an entire personal security detachment to go into certain places, be it Mexico, Libya, Yemen, wherever. So, you know, it's happening. I don't expect it to stop anytime soon.
Brandon Webb, is there a difference in the approach of the Bush administration onto the Obama administration in how they deal with special operations? And now, your thoughts on special operations in a democratic society? Yeah,
I think it's unfortunate we don't live in a world where that's peaceful. I mean, I think inherently we would all like to live in that world. We live in a world where there are bad people, and I think special operations has a vital role in fighting what really, to me, is we're really up against a radical ideology. We can call it a war on terror, but it really doesn't boil down to that, in my opinion. And
has Obama shifted focus from Bush, or would you say it's a continuum?
I think it's a continued effort, and if anything, he's been more effective at using JSOC and United States Special Operations Command to deal with a lot of these emerging threats.
It's gained momentum under his administration.
Yeah. The problem I see, and the point I want to make is
we have 5 seconds.
A key component to that's missing is, what are we doing to prevent the spread of radicalism and embracing these different cultures? Because without the prevention, we're in a whack-a-mole situation.
We're going to leave it there, but we're going to continue part 2 of our discussion and post it online at Democracy Now!